AIM Academy presents the perfect job. Your work is to discover your work and then with all your heart to give yourself to it, says Buddha. Do you dream of having a perfect job? Do you occasionally spend time considering a future where you are paid to do what you love? Wouldn't it be a dream come true if you get your ideal job doing something that you are good at? It would be the ultimate realization of any underpaid, overworked, unappreciated employee. Even if you are already employed and the pay is good enough, it's always better to get paid doing something you love rather than working at a job you don't care about. But these circumstances could not be described as ideal or perfect. It is easier to talk about your ideal life than actually going to find your perfect job, career, and life. But it can be achieved with strong commitment, concentration, and determination. Your return on investment should far outweigh the effort that you put into your job. What would you give in order for your work, career, and life to be perfect? Those who feel their jobs and careers are perfect are the happiest and feel the most fulfilled people on earth. That doesn't mean that your version of a perfect life needs to be exactly the same as others. Perfection is a unique trait. Anyone willing to make an effort to define, discover, and pursue perfection can also achieve it. What does a perfect life look like for you? It does not need to be what your family and friends define as perfection, but rather the perfection that you have designated for yourself. Remember this. The perfection that you have designated for yourself can be defined as perfection for your life. We tend to look at what we have and wonder, would I be happier elsewhere? Did I choose the right career? Do I have to look for another job in order to get a better wage? All these factors come into play and cause us to question our decision to take on a new job, join a new company, or remain where we are. Is there a perfect job for you out there? This feeling is subjective and uncertain, but there are clear signs that you may have to find the perfect job. Let's take a closer look at what this may be like. After all these discussions and self-evaluations, let's understand what is a perfect job. There are many concepts and definitions of what a perfect job should look like. For some, it may be the one that takes little to no commuting, whereas many would be willing to commute for a higher paying job. That means some people doesn't want to travel in their job. Some people would love to travel far distances to get high salaries. In a perfect world, we would find an ideal job the very first time we went in search of it. However, finding a career that brings you happiness, a sense of accomplishment, and interpersonal relationships that you enjoy will take a lot of trial and error. The trick is to precisely define what you want and never give up on finding it until it's yours. We all want to find a fun and meaningful dream job, but what does that mean? Many people think the answer includes finding their dream jobs through a flash of insight, which others believe the key elements are that It's simple and highly paid. What? Some people think their dream job can be found in a flash of insight, but some other believe the key elements which has to be considered for a job is it should be simple and it should be highly paid. There are many qualities of an ideal job, but in fact there never exists an ideal job at all. Nonetheless, one would expect an ideal job or a perfect job to be work that has the following characteristics. If you look at anything on earth, most particularly your job or career, see, you feel that you have a lot of problems. Okay, why? What is that? What makes you feel that you have a lot of problems and you're struggling? The only one thing is the great working environment is the most important thing which you need to have. If your environment is not great, then you will feel like you are alone facing the world's every problem. Now, when I talk about great working environment, what is that? An ideal job must have a positive, relaxed working environment that will help you perform your best. There are many situations that can feel unmotivating, but before you start to complain, first look inside yourself. You can fix many workplace issues on your own or with a little help. You are more likely to be placed in a position that complements your personality if you effectively communicate with your recruiting consultant. That's the important thing. An ideal working environment matches the job requirements with an applicant's personality traits to decide if a job is right for them or not. You have to have meaningful intentions when finding your ideal job. One day you might find a career that pays so exceptionally well that you can find meaning and purpose for your life outside the work. Nevertheless, being affluent enough to find meaning away from work does not mean you have found your perfect career. Which means, see, if you don't try to get the right work environment, you may get a very good job, so you'll have a lot of salary, and your entire life you'll have to find out another place or another way away from your work to get that satisfaction. So, if the criteria previously described defines perfection, how many of us can say that we already have the ideal job? When you imagine what you need to do in order to get your dream job, does it mean that you require each of the qualities mentioned above the lines for a perfect working environment? Most importantly, do you think it's possible to land a job that meets most of the criteria even if you aren't doing what you love? The theory is to recognize your most significant interest, that is your passion, and pursue a career involving that interest. Stick to your passion and you are going to have a great career is certainly an enticing message. If we look closely at successful people, we see that they are really passionate and enthusiastic about what they do. Most successful people are passionate, but their passion has often grown with their success. It has never decreased. Many have taken a long time to discover their passion instead of going with their first obsession. For example, Steve Jobs began with a passion for Zen Buddhism as a way to earn some easy and quick money. He got into technology. Look at this. His passion was Zen Buddhism, but he wanted to earn some quick money, so he got into technology. But as he succeeded, his love for technology grew until he became the most famous advocate for doing what you love. That means advocate for what you love means he went on to increase his passion as and when he grew. That's where success comes. Now, how do you find your passion? Remember when you were a child, you tried things without putting any extra thought into it. You never overanalyze the advantages of learning baseball versus football. You just do it. You would run around the fields playing baseball and soccer. You created sandcastles, played games, asked stupid questions, looked for bugs, dug into the dirt, and pretend to be the sewer monster. No one told you to do it. You just did it. Only your curiosity and enthusiasm led you do that. And the beautiful thing was, if you discovered you hated baseball, you stopped playing it. There was no presence of remorse or regret. There was no inner debate or argument. You either simply enjoyed it or you didn't. It was simple as that. A well used expression is to follow your passion. But if you don't know what your passion is, then what do? This is not just a problem for those starting their careers. It can also be an issue for those who feel stuck in their jobs that they do not enjoy. To slip into a routine that leaves you bored or unfulfilled, it is also too easy. You want to make the switch, but you don't know what to do or how to do it. It can be so frustrating to hear people tell you just to pursue your heart. Sure, if you knew what your passion was, you would follow it. You are probably the kind of a person who works hard, you are committed and diligent. Nothing will deter you if you know what you are doing. If you are only allowed to do one thing to change your life, consider doing something you are passionate about and doing it for the rest of your life. Okay, it's not as easy as it sounds, but the effort is worth it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you must quit your job and leave your family to pursue your passion. You don't need to do anything drastic. It means you should analyze what you have and start to listen to your gut. That means your instinct. It simply means to be grateful for what you have, but to follow your heart's nudges as well. Nudges means the push. Our heart always will be pushing. Hey darling, do this. So what are you going to do? How will you discover your life's passion? Here are some suggestions. Ask yourself these two simple questions. You will figure out what to do with the rest of your life by answering these questions frankly. Number 1. What subject can I read or study for hours without getting bored? Number 2. If I had the total financial wealth to do anything, what would I spend my time doing? See, this is what we need to understand. While pursuing your favorite subject or pursuing your passion, you need to understand, at least for a couple of hours, what is the thing which I can do without getting bored. And the second one is, if you have all the money and all the power of the world to do, what you would put your time, money and everything. That is the very important thing which you need to understand. Anything that gets your blood pumping is probably worth doing it. A lot of things make you happy are never going to help you on money. You don't have to be amazing at something to be enthusiastic about it. If you can't imagine a life where you are unable to do that thing you love, then that thing is your passion. There is no need for it to be a money maker at all. Think of all the things you hate doing and list the occupations or activities you never want to do in life. Once you have removed these choices, your true passion may become more apparent. You may even want to make a list of people you are jealous of to get more clarification on the topic. Who do you envy? List multiple people. Examine the reasons that you envy them. Identify what they are doing differently or try some of those things. Next, very most important thing is, find things that you are good at. Even if you don't have exceptional skills at all, most people have lot of specialities they are okay at. That means in some things you are okay. You might be a fantastic cartoon artist, but not a good computer guy. The most successful people are those who are most passionate about their work and not characterized by a unique ability. It's a fusion of talents, often not even exceptional, but they've made their fusion exceptionally well. See, like I said, Steve Jobs wasn't the greatest inventor, he wasn't the greatest entrepreneur, he wasn't the greatest designer or businessman in the world, but he was uniquely good enough in all these things and fused them into something much greater. Don't wait for an inspirational eureka moment that some people are lucky to have, where they immediately know what to do with their lives. Sure, those moments are inspirational, but you cannot wait in vain for such a moment. Your true passion is not to instantly know, but is learned through a series of discoveries of small interests. You can have someone close to help you explore your true passion by thinking and analyzing the face of your mind. Try asking close friends and family what they think you should do with your future. But don't just drop everything and do what people suggest without carefully considering. Otherwise, you will fall off from a mountain. That mountain may be safer for them, but it may be not safer for you. Experiment with new experiences as much as possible, whether it's a new sport, learning a new language, or practicing a craft. This will take you to your childhood, where you can recall what you used to do as a kid. Did you love to paint or write stories? Try to remember those things you enjoyed during your youth. Before beginning your stress or were leaning to the right subjects or to get a good job, what did you want to do before life got you in the way? Would you like to enjoy these things now? To help you discover your true passion as a grown up, use these memories. Maybe you have some hobbies now. Could you build on them and bring them to more of your life's center stage? Like they're all aside, like a side actors. Bring your small passions and the mediocre performance which you can do into a center stage like a hero or heroine of a Hollywood or Bollywood or even a Tollywood movie. Or take a look into your future. Imagine you are beyond the age of retirement. Would you be proud of what you have been doing for the last 20 or 30 years? Think it as a way of writing your own autobiography, where your proudest accomplishments are listed. What would you like to see for yourself? Create something brand new. Creating something brand new is the secret to discover your passion. People who start from scratch are immediately excited about projects, startup companies, or new services they offer. You can design new cushions, write stories of your favorite genre, or launch a Twitter account dedicated to fact-checking politicians. You haven't got to find success to fuel your passion. Next one is, imagine getting up early, leaping out of the bed and feeling excited to go to work. You get dressed quickly, full of enthusiasm for a day. The sun shines and you're taking the first steps out of your apartment. And now imagine where you're going and what kind of work you will be doing based on that sense of anticipation. You might put in more hours than the average person, but it's okay because your working hours are just zooming by. Often you are in a state of mind, sometimes called a flow, where you lose track of the world and the time, losing yourself in the task at hand. Employment to you is not the same as it is referred to by many people, but actually something enjoyable, exciting and fun. It's a passion rather than a job. This may sound like a pipe dream to you if you have a career you despise or even hate. If you don't try to find out what you are curious about, you are right. There is never going to be a positive change. Dare to dream, dare to imagine the possibilities, and dare to search for what you love. It's not just an opportunity to change your life. What if you went to a restaurant with a strong negative opinion? I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat anything here. I don't even want to be here. Well, if you look at it that way, the menu won't look appealing. you're not going to explore with proper time and attention, and you're unlikely to find some food that you will enjoy eating. You'll definitely find something horrible and bullshit. The same principle applies to the hunt for a job that you love. If you're sure it will be hard to find your passion, or that it just won't happen for you, you are going to remain close to all the possibilities. You are going to block the little nudges, the pulls, signals that leads us all where we need to be. After all, if you don't believe it exists, how can you expect to find fulfilling work? This is the $1,000,000 question. Even Einstein would have struggled, or Edison would have struggled to invent a bulb or a whatever the inventions they have done. So let's understand how to discover our passion. Now, after all the self-evaluation of all these conversations which we had, now once you decide that you want to discover your passion, get out of your metal detector. What is that metal detector? It's time to look for signs what you're fond of doing. When you check your life's environment, you can find some peak encounters. Diving into those weak times and finding the key ingredients is really important. Look for the overarching umbrella. When you look at all the ingredients that are important to you, they may seem entirely disconnected at first. Let's say you love French, you drink coffee, you like to interpret and categorize, and you are a community leader. How can you build a career out of these passions? It would be like peering into your cupboard and seeing a cocoa powder and carrots and wondering, how can I make anything delicious without these ingredients? Make sure you know the difference between a hobby and a profitable love. You can fall ahead over heels in love with an experience that engrosses you, something that lights you up and makes your heart sing. But now you have to ask yourself the next question: who would benefit from my hobby and who will pay for it? If you want to contribute your passion to the society and make a profit from it, you need to be a rational as to do whether it could turn into a career. As if so, what do you need to do make a difference to make it happen? Additionally, think about if you are even like doing those things as a job. For some people, a passion is just fun. I love doing this. I have to do this.